Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Friday Fish Files. Today we're talking about a fish I've recently just started keeping in the last couple of years and has really grown on me. And that fish is the Farlowella catfish, aka the Twig catfish. So most of the times when you go to the pet store, you're going to see these fish in a tank. You're either going to be seeing Farwell vittata or Farlowella marillanae. These two species are going to be the most commonly caught ones and most commonly bred ones that you'll find in most places. If you are trying to figure out which ones you have or which ones you're going to be getting, the best way to find out is going to be by looking at their scutes or the scales on their belly. Farwell vittata is usually going to have 2 rows of scutes, and Farwell marillanae is usually going to have 3 rows. Like I said, those are pretty much the 2 most common ones, and the 2 also that are most misidentified. But these guys aren't just limited to 2 types of fish. There's a wide variety of Farwellas available. There's even a really cool looking one that's almost like a bright fluorescent green. That one I've never seen in person, only in photos. So most of the time in their tank and even in the wild, these fish are going to spend most of the time trying to look like a stick, hence their nickname, the Twig catfish. These guys are pretty much going to primarily be algae grazers and alphux grazers, and they're really going to go for those brown diatom algae the most. That's kind of like their favorite, and also the biofilm that grows on any of the like wood or if you happen to have leaves in your tank, they really appreciate the biofilm that grows on those. In my experience, they really love rapashi foods, especially Soylent Green and Morning Wood. I kind of mix those two together and that combination really gets them going. They love canned green beans, just like plecos do. And I have seen them go for some algae wafers. It's kind of hit and miss on those. And they do like to eat the fluval bug bites too. In my experience, they're really not too demanding of a fish when it comes to water parameters. Neutral range pH seems to be really great for them. And as far as tank setup for them goes, usually they're pretty good in a planted aquarium, or if you want to set up a biotope specific aquarium, that works great for them too. They do appreciate having some driftwood in the tank, mainly so they can graze off of it, but also so they can kind of have a place to blend into and feel comfortable. They're really a peaceful fish, so you don't really have to worry about them bothering other tank mates, but you do want to make sure you don't have any tank mates that'll outcompete them for food. A lot of times if you have them in a tank with plecos that also graze on algae and rapashis and the like, the Farwell will kind of get bullied out of the way. So you'll either end up having to overfeed the tank a lot, or you'll end up with some very skinny Farwellas. Now when it comes to breeding these guys, it's really interesting and really a whole bunch of fun. The male and the female kind of pick out a spot in the tank. Most of the time it's going to be one of the sides of the tanks, or every now and then I see them breed on a piece of wood. But most of the time the place they choose to spawn is going to be an area that has a nice strong flow. It's kind of like a Goldilocks zone, not too much but not too little, it's just right. And just like plecos, the male Farwell catfish will guard the eggs until they hatch, and after that point the fry are pretty much on their own. In my experience raising these guys, the yolk sac is usually absorbed within 48-72 hours, and after that, that's the time that probably most people struggle raising the fry. Farwell catfish don't really have a lot of fat reserves like a lot of fish do, and this kind of means that the fry starve out really quick. So you pretty much have to feed them constantly. They have to have something they can graze on. I like to use the leaf litter biofilm a lot of times to supplement their diet when I can't actually directly feed them. The good news is they'll go for a lot of the same foods the parents do. It just has to have a little bit longer period to soften up. Like especially green foods like spinach and lettuce, they really like it at the point where it's pretty much mush. And from what I've observed with my Farlowella, usually triggering them to spawn is kind of similar to corridors. You feed them up, give them a good diet, and then usually they're triggered by a cooler water change. I'm usually unable to get my Farlowella to breed during the summer because the water comes in pretty warm. But once wintertime hits, they just suddenly start breeding for me. So that kind of tends to be the trigger that I've noticed. Alright everyone, so that's going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you for watching, and let me know down below in the comments if you've had any experience with Farlowellas of any type, and let me know what you've thought about them. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I will see you next week for Fish Food Fridays.